Hey there, heroes and heroines, and welcome to the realm of Beast Foundry. Now grab some dice, and let's get ready for epic adventure. So, we are going to talk a little bit today about, do casters feel bad? And casters, by that I mean arcane casters. The other casters fill very different roles, the occult, the primal, the divine, but when people want to play that blaster caster that just gets in there and just destroys things, typically everyone's thinking of the arcane caster for Pathfinder. And there are a few things that no one really tells you right out the door, and it can set you up to just make you think that these types of characters don't really feel that good. And it's not true, but you are not really given some very pivotal information. Primarily among that, when you first start out as a character, you get your, you can have spells that are attack roll spells that attack armor class, and you get a huge amount of cantrips that target the enemy's reflex save. You get a tiny amount that target the will, and you get a tiny amount that target fortitude. But what no one tells you is, for almost every low-level enemy, reflex is their highest defense. It is higher than their armor class. Typically, it goes reflex, armor class, and then depending on what type of monster it is, either the fortitude or will could be a little lower. But often, the disparity between reflex the highest and either will or fortitude the lowest can be 4, 5, even 6 points difference. So what that means for your character is that when you pick your cantrips and you go, oh, electric arc targets reflex, I can hit 2 creatures, you are targeting their highest defense every time. If you go with an attack roll spell, typically the attack roll, the armor class is generally 1 point lower than the reflex. And, if we look at a couple low-level monsters that are leveled -1, skeletons, mitflits, goblins, without fail, every one of these creatures, reflex, armor class, and then either fortitude or will, and then the opposite for their lowest. So huge disparity there, and it's not something that people really don't prepare you for. Now, attacking the armor class on these low-level creatures is generally better than going after the reflex, as we said, because most casters, you're going to have that +7 to hit, and their armor class is around that 17 range. Could be 15, 16, so you're going to have a good 55% chance of hitting. But when you go after reflex, that's going to be a +7, +8. It's the opposite. You're only going to have like a 45% chance of success. And then most of them, the fortitude or will, are only going to be at +4 at max, often +2 to +4. So your odds of succeeding on those are way higher. So, what do we do about this? Well, there's a couple of things. For one, your cantrips are not set in stone. You can always swap those out for other cantrips. So, you may want to consider at low levels picking up a couple of cantrips that, you don't envision for your character, but you're going to need them at low level, and then you can swap them out as they become less useful. I find with the Pathfinder Remaster version, Player Core 1, there's a great new spell called Frostbite. It targets fortitude. Huge. Because honestly, for me, it is now my go-to spell because way higher chance of success than the numerous spells that target reflex, and you're dealing roughly the same damage. So huge benefit there. Daze is a good one, targets will, often a very low defense for monsters. And it does deal less damage, but you kind of want to focus on those types of cantrips. And to make matters, you compound this problem, your first level spells are exactly the same. Most of your damaging first level spells attack reflex or are attack roll spells. So again, they're hitting those 2 highest points on the monster. There's a couple that hit fortitude, there's a couple that hit will. So you want to take that into account when you are making your spell selections. And for these characters, that's the biggest thing for your character is your spell selection. Now, there are a couple of spells that are fantastic. Force Barrage, previously known as Magic Missile. That, when you do the 3-action casting of that will kill almost every level -1 creature. They typically only have, 4, 6, maybe 8, 10 hit points. Typically 8 is the highest in the range. The average on a 3-action Force Barrage is going to be, is that 9, 10, basically 10 points of damage. So your average is going to snuff those creatures out. And even on a level 1 creature that is, on par with your character, they're only sitting on, 14 hit points, 18 hit points. So even then, a good roll can bring them almost to death. I know it's not big flashy damage, but it doesn't miss, and incredibly effective. I will say, when you're going for these blaster type characters, the sorcerer has a tiny bit of an advantage because they are a charisma based character, meaning they're going to have probably a really good intimidate, which again targets the will of the enemy, which is notoriously low at low levels. So super high chance of success, thusly lowering the defense by 1 to 2 points, depending if it's a success or a critical success. So getting that intimidate out first, then hitting them with your spell, huge. That makes a monstrous difference to your caster. Now, as you level up, you're going to find that things kind of branch off. You see a lot more creatures with crazy high fortitudes and their reflex goes lower. Or you kind of have to gauge the monster. Always, be prepared with your recall knowledge, but you don't often need that, honestly. Based on the either image or description of the character, you have a really good idea if this is a big, beefy monster that's going to have that high fortitude, or if this is a quick, agile character that is going to have a high reflex. So whichever one's higher, you kind of want to look at that lower one. And if they have magical abilities, special qualities, things like that, often their will is going to creep up. But that doesn't really start to happen till probably 5th level, really. I mean, yeah, you see like things like ogres. Okay, ogre, I know. It's going to have a high fortitude. It's going to have a lower reflex. Going to have probably a really bad will. And armor class is going to be up there somewhere around between the fortitude and reflex range. So analyzing your monsters, and don't just go in there and electric arc, electric arc, electric arc. Because again, targeting reflex, worst thing you can do at low level, lowest chance of success. The introduction of frostbite, big game changer, but attack roll spells, again, go with those over reflex at lower levels because higher chance of success. Marginally, but it is still a little higher. So you just want to make sure you're looking at your spells, and do not discount, spells that help your team. Of course, Runic Weapon is a fantastic go-to at first level because giving your melee characters that boost to damage and +1 hit is huge. But I also get it. You're like, I want to do stuff. I want to kill the enemy. So again, just look around, see what you've got, and figure out how you can maximize your options. You want to make, the best choice you can for the longevity of your character. And again, at lower levels, things are different than at higher levels. Some of these spells that you're like, that wasn't very good at lower level, revisit at a higher level. You may find that those spells, actually, they're not so bad anymore. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you are liking the content, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you do not miss anything. And as always, love to have people come by the Discord, check us out, run games in there. We do all kinds of stuff. Always have posts and previews of new projects and things that we're working on. So hopefully we'll see you around. Until next time, game well, my friends.